chapter 3, verse 1. This know also, take note of this also basically, that in the last days perilous times shall come. Now, last days, that means terrible times, dangerous times, happened 2,000 years ago. We're in the last hours. The last days is referencing to the crucifixion. I believe the last days is more in line with 1948, May 15th, when Israel became a nation. And I believe we're in the last minutes and the last seconds of the end of this world. We are. You see how everything's going. But look, it even tells you how it's going to go. Look at this. Verse 2. For men shall be lovers of their own selves. That means they're going to be self-centered. Now, I know people have been like this from the beginning. We know that. But he says in the last days, this is going to be the case in the church. It's already in the world. We see that. This is what's going to happen. Look, men will be lovers of themselves. That means they're going to love themselves so much. Men and women, they're going to be so much in love with themselves. They're going to love themselves so much. They're going to get surgeries. They're going to do all these things to make themselves look. Oh, look at Hollywood. They love themselves. Goes on, it says covetous, referencing to money lovers. They covet money. They desire money. They love those things. Man, they love money. They'll do anything for money. They'll do whatever it takes for their money. Take to get money. I'll do this. I'll do that. Sell my body. Do this. People will do anything. I want money. Boasters. Okay? So they're going to be braggers. They're going to brag about things. They love to brag. Proud. That means puffed up. Oh, man, people who don't know the Lord, this is definitely, you see that. But when you see this in the church, that's really bad. Blasphemers. Again, those people who talk against God. Disobedient to parents. Okay? That means they're disobedient to the parents. You see this, the kids who are growing up in this generation, it's like no other time right now. Unthankful, that means ungrateful, unholy. Without natural affection. That means without love, natural love. Without natural, they're not walking in a natural way. Like they don't have that. It's cold. They're cold, you can say. Truth breakers. They'll promise you something right in front of your face and know right away they're not going to do it. They'll tell you something straight to your face and you believe it. You believe it. You take it to the bank. They have no desire keeping that. I'm talking about people who are Christians, okay? That say they're Christians. This is reference to those in the church. And they can go to church. They can say they're Christians. Because that's why he says you got some for dishonor and some for honor. So it's pretty clear they're in the church. That's what you're dealing with, the church. Okay? That's why 90% is not going. Some for dishonor, some for honor, okay? False accusers, okay? That means they'll slander people. They'll go from one church to the other, slander people. Probably talk nice to them in front of their face. Probably talk bad about them afterwards, slander them. Incontinent, okay, without self-control, fierce, brutal. Incontinent and fierce, referencing to they're either too heavy-handed or too easy on things. Like they're not moderate in their self-discipline toward others. They're either way to one way or way to the other way. Despisers of those that are good. So those doing it good, they despise that. Traitors, okay. Heady, okay, that means someone who's reckless. High-minded, someone who's high-minded, thinks too much of themselves. Lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. They'll say they love God, but they love their pleasure. So again, these people fall in that same category that we're reading in 2 Thessalonians. And we're reading in Matthew. Iniquity. They love their iniquity. They love their pleasures. So they go to church. They love church, but they're not giving up their pleasures. It says lovers of pleasure more. That means rather than lovers of God. These are people that go to church, and as soon as you start telling them about changing their life, they say, who are you to judge me? God is love. That's the first thing they're going to start saying. These are people in the church. Look, having a form of godliness. That means appearance of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. So it says a form of godliness. That means, what's a form of godliness? That means they're not going to know how to talk the language. They're going to go to church. They're going to have a Bible. They're going to be involved in the church. They have a form. But one thing, they don't believe in the power. They're not walking in it. They're not walking in the faith. They're not being obedient. No, they're walking a different way. But they have a form of godliness. So, again, if I gave you a fake $100 bill and you were in a hurry, that $100 bill, you didn't look at it. It's a counterfeit. You wouldn't know the difference. That's why people don't know the difference between the wheat and the tare in the church. They don't know the difference. Everybody's a wheat. Everybody's saved, for the most part. That's how some people think. They're all saved. They don't understand that. They go in with the understanding, okay, maybe there is some wheat, but all my friends are... there are some tares, but all my friends are wheat. All it's meaning saved. Okay? If that be the case, great. But that's not, in these big churches, that is not the case. I see the fruit coming from a lot of that. Okay? Very important. They have a form of godliness. So if you don't know how to examine a $100 bill, you're going to be fooled every time. So if you don't know how to examine yourself to see if you're in the faith, because why would you examine yourself if you think you're good already? You're not going to examine anybody else, and everybody else will be good already. But if you're the type of person that examines yourself, God's going to give you enlightenment through the Holy Spirit where you're wrong, and you're going to also have discernment to find out if others are in the faith. That's why it says test the spirits. That's your responsibility. Not to judge them, but to test. He goes on, he says, again, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. From these people, don't even go near them. Now, they're all over them. Verse 6, for of this sort are they which creep into houses, that means they worm their way into houses, and lead captive silly women laden with sins. That means foolish, unstable, giddy women, whatever you want to say. These people are already in sin, and these people are using them, whatever, take advantage of them in any way, whether they live in their house, get free money, whatever it may be. There's many reasons they would do this, to creep in there. Now the women are already here laden with sins. They already are heavy in sin. And these people are actually causing them to go deeper into their sin. Goes on, they get led away with diverse lusts. 7, ever, or you can say always learning, and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth, of referencing the truth of God. So they're always learning. So these people who have a form of godliness, they're always picking up information. They're getting smarter in the understand, not in the understanding, but in more knowledge of the Word. So they can fool a lot of people now. They're always getting more information, but they're not changing. Their heart's not changing. They're not changing. He goes on, he says, verse 8, now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses. Now these are the two priests that were with Pharaoh. Their names are not in the Bible, but this is referenced in the Exodus 7:11. Obviously there's books, Jewish books they had that had these names for these individuals. And this is their names. They withstood Moses. You can read about that in Exodus chapter 7. So do these also resist the truth, men of corrupt minds, reprobate concerning the faith.